2. The psychological effects of excessively wearing black. When wearing black becomes an absolute constant in daily life, the mind and the subtle body begin to operate under a specific energetic regime. Modern psychology and behavioral analysis identify 4 main effects of this visual and sartorial saturation. 1. The creation of emotional armor, the shield effect. Black absorbs all light and reflects no frequency. Psychologically, this creates an acoustic insulation effect for the soul. The effects of excessively wearing black in daily life. Symbolic and psychological vision. The archaeology of conscious darkness. Black is not the absence of color. In the physical and pigment spectrum, it represents total absorption, the silence that swallows all light frequencies. Wearing black daily goes beyond a mere aesthetic choice or a matter of style convenience. It is a silent manifesto of the psyche, a ritual of shielding, and a deep search for identity. To understand the impact of continuously covering the body with the color of the night, one must cross the territories of behavioral psychology with the rich mythological background of esoteric astrology. Black carries the duality of the 2 greatest forces of contraction, testing, and transformation in the zodiac, the relentless structure of Saturn and its sign Capricorn, and the regenerative depth of Pluto and Mars, rulers of Scorpio. This manual investigates the consequences, powers, and dangers of continuously wearing this color, serving as a practical and analytical guide for the soul's energy economy. Part 1. The archetypal foundations of black. The Saturnian-Capricornian axis, the search for structure and limits. In classical astrology, Saturn is the lord of time, chronos, lead, and physical and psychic boundaries. Capricorn, a cardinal earth sign ruled by this planet, operates through the principle of contraction, austerity, and pragmatism. The matrix of silence, Saturnian black represents rock, bone, skin, and the wall. It is the color that delimits where I begin and where the other ends. The economy of time. Wearing black under the Capricornian aegis eliminates the superfluous and focuses on the climb. It is the cloak of the hermit, the judge, and the architect, figures who do not seek to please the eyes of the world, but rather to build what is lasting. The Plutonian Scorpionic axis, the womb of transmutation. Scorpio introduces the element of deep water into the territory of black. Classically ruled by Mars and modernly by Pluto, the lord of the underworld, Scorpio uses black not to build external walls, but to protect the mystery of its internal waters. The Negredo phase. In spiritual alchemy, Negredo, or the great work in black, is the first stage of the transmutation process, where matter must rot, silence itself, and die in darkness so that the soul may be liberated. The magnetic shield, Scorpionic black acts as a magnetic black hole. It hides the individual's intense emotional currents and secrets while acting as a radar, decoding the weaknesses and hidden motivations of everyone around without being revealed itself. Part 2. The psychological effects of excessively wearing black. When wearing black becomes an absolute constant in daily life, the mind and the subtle body begin to operate under a specific energetic regime. Modern psychology and behavioral analysis identify 4 main effects of this visual and sartorial saturation. 1. The creation of emotional armor, the shield effect. Black absorbs all light and reflects no frequency. Psychologically, this creates an acoustic insulation effect for the soul. Highly sensitive individuals, empaths, Those prone to anxiety or those dealing with highly competitive and chaotic environments use black as a psychic armor. The black fabric acts as a barrier that prevents projections and energies from the environment from penetrating the aura. The positive consequence is emotional stabilization. The negative is the blockage of genuine effective exchanges. 2. Reduction of decision fatigue and focus on essence. By adopting black as a constant, the brain saves precious cognitive resources. There is no mental energy expenditure to harmonize hues, combine palettes, or keep up with fluctuating fashion trends. This intentional simplification frees the mind to focus on great works, deep studies, or crisis management. The external observer's attention is automatically diverted from the shell, the clothing, and directed toward the content, the individual's speech, intellect, and actions. 3. The projection of authority, detachment, and respect. Historically and psychologically, black evokes power, sophistication, and seriousness. Excessive use of this color creates an atmosphere of silent authority that does not need to beg for attention. There is an intrinsic respect generated by sobriety. However, this respect is often accompanied by social detachment. Black imposes a subconscious etiquette of keep your distance, inhibiting casual approaches or spontaneous manifestations of affection from others. 4. The state of psychic retraction, evolutionary melancholy. Black slows down vital and psychological processes. It induces the mind into a state of introversion. Under excessive use, the soul enters a mode of continuous self-analysis, allowing it to map in detail what motivates and paralyzes it, recognizing its shadows, strengths, and weaknesses. It is the melancholic temperament in its noblest facet, not as a depressive sadness but as a quality of stillness necessary for the interiorization of consciousness. Part 3. The negative consequences of black saturation. No archetype can be inhabited indefinitely without a price. Chronic abuse of black can unbalance the psychic structure and generate symptoms of stagnation. Saturnian crystallization, the weight of rigidity. The excess of Saturnian energy in the magnetic field hardens one's stance toward life. The individual may become excessively rigid, pessimistic, skeptical, and focused only on duties, faults, and scarcity. Life loses its spontaneous color, lightness, and sense of humor, turning routine into a heavy burden of obligations. Plutonian isolation, the abyss of paranoia. When the force of Scorpio and Pluto is overstimulated by constant black, the need for protection can degenerate into chronic distrust, defensive isolation, and paranoia. The individual closes themselves so much in their dark cocoon that they begin to see the outside world as a perpetual threat, refusing to lower their guard for intimacy, thus generating deep psychological loneliness, apathy, and depreciated vitality. Physically, black absorbs heat, but esoterically it can drain the tone of the vital body if there is no solid internal foundation. Without the influx of stimulating colors, such as red, orange, or yellow, the nervous system may incline toward lethargy, lack of enthusiasm, and a sense of chronic tiredness, hindering the manifestation of pure joy and the energy of action in the physical world. Part 4. Practical usage, manual, when to wear and when not to. For black to act as an ally and not as an element of entrapment, its use must be strategic and conscious. Situations where wearing black is highly recommended. In moments of absolute crisis and emotional overload. When external life is chaotic and you need to gather your pieces, black serves as the protective womb for your internal reconstruction. In strategic negotiations and high-pressure environments, when it is necessary to project unshakable authority, focus, seriousness, and control of the situation without demonstrating vulnerability or emotional fluctuations. During intensive self-analysis and therapy processes, in periods where the main goal is the occult investigation of the psyche, the understanding of traumas, Scorpio, and the structuring of new life goals, Capricorn. For auric protection in crowded environments, when frequenting places with large gatherings of people and dense energies, such as hospitals, courts, or crowded public transport, acting as an auric insulator. Situations where wearing black should be expressly avoided. In states of clinical depression, apathy, and prolonged grief. If the soul is already immersed in the darkness of sadness or lack of meaning, wearing black reinforces the magnetism of Saturnian gravity, pushing the individual further down. In these cases, colors of expansion, rays of Sun and Jupiter, are necessary. In first romantic dates or conflict mediation meetings, if the goal is to generate empathy, human connection, openness, and dialogue, black will create an unconscious barrier of intimidation and coldness. Prefer light or warm tones that facilitate the bridge between hearts. When you wish to innovate, create, and break creative blocks, black consolidates what already exists, structure. It does not stimulate the breaking of paradigms or the explosion of new ideas. For innovative creative processes, the use of dynamic and fluid colors is fundamental. When practicing physical activities and seeking vital expansion, exercising while wearing black saturates the body with energetic retention. Physical activity calls for release, burning, and renewal of energy, dynamics that pair much better with vibrant solar colors. The mastery of conscious darkness. Constantly wearing black is a legitimate choice for the soul that seeks depth, silent power, and the development of a keen perception of its own internal mechanisms. By understanding that this color carries the weight and wisdom of Saturn, alongside the regenerative magnetism of Scorpio, the individual transforms their wardrobe into a tool of high spiritual performance. The key to mastery lies in not letting yourself be swallowed by the mantle you wear. Black should be your shield and your secret laboratory for self-knowledge, never your prison. Wear it with the consciousness of the mystic who knows how to operate in the silence of the night, but who keeps their eyes always turned toward the rising of the internal sun.